On today's episode, we have women's football icon Eni Aluko, ex-professional footballer, lawyer, broadcaster, author and investor. Yep, and we discuss her path to success, being in the public eye, tackling the world of dating and the power of resilience, plus so much more. Welcome to the Powerhouse pod. Eni, welcome. Girls, how long have we spoke about doing this, by the way?
No.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here, honestly. And we're saying, like, how do you even get into this one? Because I just think there's so much to speak about. But I actually think we should go back to, like, when we first met.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever forget that moment, but I'll let you tell the story.
Well, it's been about 8 years.
It's been a while now, right?
And so I'm literally, like, scratching at the memory here to be like, how did we actually meet? But I think I definitely met you first, Molly.
Yeah.
And
Did I not get the invite then? What went on?
well, you weren't there.
You must have been busy. No, do you know what? I used to do that when I was younger, you know. I never used to go out. Yeah, no, she's I had this thing about not going out, so that makes sense.
So we just met through mutual friends, obviously being in the sort of football world. And I remember we were in a bar in Soho and we just hit it off. We were just putting the world to rights.
Really? What?
Yeah.
Just having deep chats on that? You know?
Deep chats, deep convo.
Yeah, music blaring.
And I remember thinking, like, I'm really enjoying this conversation. Yeah, and then shortly after, I think you introduced me to Rosie, or I think you must have met later on that night or something like that. I can't remember, like, fully.
Really? Okay.
But shortly after, we were talking about relationships and stuff.
Going straight into the deep stuff.
But Rosie was like, "Yeah, I need some advice, vice versa."
When do I not need advice on relationships?
We just hit it off, and then I think the rest is history.
No, literally.
We've been close from, like, day dot.
I think for us today, like, having you here is such a moment, and we have already had a discussion between ourselves on the pod, and we said, like, when we come away from that chat, it feels like it was the first time that really we were showing the outside world us,
Right.
away from, you know, the demands of being on shows or having scripts and all of that stuff. It felt like a genuine conversation and a little bit like therapy, you know, when you're, like, so vulnerable and so open. Vulnerable. How does it feel for you sitting here today? Do you feel like the outside world ever gets to really see you?
No, I think is the short answer to that. You know, I'm very conscious of doing more of this so that people can see me for who I am, right? Because I think often in our world of football and media, it's just we present what we need to present to get the job done, and we go home. And actually the depth of who you are doesn't really get shown, and it's actually not part of the job. Like, it's not my job to sit there talking about who I am when I've got to assess whether, you know, Haaland scored a good goal or not. But I think it is important for me, now I'm moving into other areas of my life, to show that no, I'm a human being, I'm a normal girl, like, I love cooking, I love music, I love all these other things that people can relate to. And I think that these types of formats like podcasts, you know, really help to do that. People can, like, relate, people can hear things they've never heard before. So that is a big objective of mine, is to, like, just let people in a little bit more.
Gotta say, if you ever get an invite to Eni's house, you gotta go, because this girl can host.
She's
this girl can host. I
actually love cooking. Like, I love it.
I will never forget when Eni says, I'm just gonna have a little thing at mine, come round, and Eni never has a little so extra. Like, you know, you go around someone. You go around someone's
extra.
Oh, but in the best way. In the best way. In the best way.
That's so funny.
Like, you go around someone else's house now, you turn up, might be a couple of biscuits, yeah? Little digestive.
A few custard creams.
Yeah, little custard cream. I had a paella. Oh, yeah, do you remember that? Oh, that was banging. I had a paella. There was a sangria. It was a whole thing. And I remember turning up thinking, I will never say no to an invite.
Do you know what?
Oh, I love you for that.
It's because it's rare. Like, I don't get to host that often. And, like, when I'm ready, I'm like, no, I really want to. First of all, I want to, like, test my cooking skills, but I also just want to, like, I want to, like, host. Like, it's fun. When I've got time to do it, it's fun.
You know what? That's why we were really excited to get you on, because we get to see that warm, high energy, dancing around the kitchen, make it, like, having a laugh. having a little two-step. We get to see that.
I try and share that sometimes on my socials, you know what I mean? But like, I just don't know if that's like the general perception. And I mean, to some extent, like, I don't think sometimes you can change perceptions. People want to think what they want to think of you, and they hold that very dear because they've already made up their mind. But I think all I can do is be myself and show more of myself and be more vulnerable. Talk about things that, you know, I don't typically talk about outside of football. Because I think this is one of the problems sometimes with footballers, is that people just box them. And it's like, no, these are like human beings, people that have other interests. But I'm also a very independent person. I'm quite independent minded. So, you know, I'm the person that, like, I'm probably hyper independent actually. Like, I'm kind of like, I'm going to do this regardless of like who supports me or not. And I don't know whether that's always a good thing.
But, you know, just from knowing you, I think that is also one of your superpowers that you have, of that hyper independence, of being able to do things by yourself if you want to do it. And if you've got no one to do it, you're going to still go and do that. Because what I hate about society is that you're made to feel a certain way if, for example, you're single. Or if you do something alone. Like, I hate that. Like, why is it frowned upon to be single? I think it's one of your biggest superpowers, the fact that you can be independent and live the life that you want to, with or without someone. Do you view it that way? Or
I do, Rosie, and I think we've had this chats before about, like, you have to be comfortable in your own skin first.
Yeah.
And when you feel, when you're totally comfortable and independent in your mind, you then are secure enough to go and do great things in the world. I think a lot of people have to feel like, I need other people to like validate me, and that comes with insecurity, and then they project that onto other people.
And then end up settling in turn as well.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of work on just sitting with myself, sitting with my own thoughts, positive self-talk. Like, nah, like, I know my heart. I'm a good person. You know, I know that, I intended what's right. Even though it might not end up being something that turned out right, or you might have a dispute or whatever, I know in my heart that I intended it right, or I did the right thing.
And the right people come along. Honestly,
and the right
we end up attracting
along,
the right
like,
people, or the right person.
You attract the right
turn,
energy,
right?
you know? It's I mean, look, when it comes to romantic relationships, I think my independence is like...
Yeah, we got to chat about that. There's a little...
Like, now I'm like, okay, I'd quite like to, like, be in a relationship, but, like, I don't know. I think sometimes potential partners look at me and go, I can't do nothing for you.
Yeah.
You've got
and
it
as
all
a
together.
Man, they want to feel as if they can come in and
like,
look after.
It's that thing of like, actually, you know, when you're in a sort of relationship, you want to be able to do something for that person to show that you like them and you love them. And I've recognised in myself that, like, I need to leave space for that versus like, oh, she doesn't need me.
Yeah. So have you not been doing that previously? What's been the vibe? What do we...
I think my vibe, I don't know, you tell me, but I think my vibe is very much like, she's got it all together. She doesn't really need me. She's independent.
There's a reason you're sitting on a Powerhouse pod. There's a reason.
It's not a bad thing, but I think when it comes to relationships, particularly with men, I mean, like, we can get into a whole conversation around gender roles, whatever, but I think men, like, a lot of men need to feel like, oh, like, that's my girl, like, I'm going to help her do something. But
you need to want that help, right?
Yeah, but like, I think it's also about the vulnerability to be like, oh no, like, I can ask you to help me versus like, oh, just do it myself, you know? And, and so I've recognised that within myself, where it's like, okay, like, if I want someone to share a life with, I need to leave space for them to share with me, you know?
So what have you been doing then to, like, I mean, you don't need to tell us right now what sort of the dates you've been going on, but I think, like, in terms of, from a person perspective, that's really self-reflective to say, do you know what? You know, I've been dating and for some reason it's not quite getting where I want it to go. So what have I got to do? I think a lot of people don't look inside.
I think it's being more vulnerable.
I
think it's being more vulnerable. I think it's being able to say, actually, this, I'm a bit scared about this, or what do you think? You know, giving someone the grace to be like, oh, like, she cares about what I think. I do that more like on dates now. So it's more about, like, because there's other situations where, like, I can ask a lot of questions.
You make me laugh when we chat about this.
Like, I will interrogate.
I can imagine.
Because, like, going back to that point, like, I am very conscious of, like, who I have around me. I've been burnt before. We can get into the whole story about me being, like, nearly Tinder swindled recently. No, I've had some close shaves.
I didn't know if we could go into that, but I would love to. We've had some
you want to chat about with pod, but listen, I'm ready to be vulnerable, but I've had some close shaves. Like, could be a Netflix.
Oh my God, my teeth.
I've had to self-reflect.
I will never forget the voice note I got from Eni after this day. But I mean,
we should probably tell the story.
Can we please share?
It's gonna be like, what is going on?
Please, Eni.
So, anyway, long story short, I was dating this guy that, like, the sort of the starting point was like, oh, like, we had a lot of shared interests in terms of, like, business and Africa and. I need to get through the story.
Sorry. Right.
So yeah, anyway, so the starting point was like a work vibe. It was more like a work vibe, get involved, whatever. Anyway, we went on a lot of dates. Like, this guy was like, he was like, let's go for food, let's go for coffee.
I remember you saying it was going very well.
We went on a lot of dates, and like, I fancied him, so I was like, okay, cool. So. What, like, as you do, like, what are we?
Where
like,
are we?
I'm spending a lot of time with you. Nothing was really happening. So I asked him, I was like, listen, like, I like you. It looks like you like me. Like, what's going on? He was like, I'm not ready for a relationship. I was like, fine. Clear. It's okay. Like,
yeah, let me know
whatever.
that. Yeah.
Just let me know, because I'm spending a lot of time with you. And it feels like we're dating. Anyway, so after he said to me, I'm not ready for a relationship, I was like, cool. So let's now just go for coffee and talk about the business. Like, because I'm absolutely fine with that, but this is my boundary. Because I would quite like to, like, go on dates with someone who, like, there's something to, there's something.
There's some substance. Also, stop taking my evenings then.
Stop taking my evenings.
Yeah.
He didn't like that. He didn't like that boundary. Anyway, long story short, he was like, yeah, let's carry on with the business. I basically agreed to be part of this business and join his business, and signed on the dotted line to join his business, thinking, we had an arrangement where basically I would promote the business, he would give me shares. It seemed all very, like, normal.
Above board. Legit.
So literally a week after I told him, like, let's just do coffees and not do these, like, dating things, he sends me this bill. He sends me, and I won't say the amount, but it was a lot of money. He sends me this bill saying, you agreed to pay me this money. And I was like, you must have met a different person, because I never agreed to pay you anything. Anyway, it all went, like, very serious very quickly. He tried to, like, sue me. And, so anyway, all that to say, I had no idea that this person was basically trying to get money out of me the whole time. Which is why he wasn't interested in an actual relationship. It was more, let me just kind of date to the point where she let her guard down. And so I say that to say, like, it's dangerous out here. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to be, and again, I go back to that point about like, I try and see the best in people. So I think, absolutely, there's no agenda here. Like,
and I mean, we sit here and laugh now because the way you position it, like what was it, Tinder swindler, whatever. We laugh.
I mean, he didn't swindle me, but he was close.
It was it was a close shape. We were very close, but I think ultimately you've avoided that one, and it is funny now. But ultimately, as you said, it is a scarring moment, and also like a moment where you've trusted.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is the thing. You've let your walls down. You've trusted this person.
Exactly.
And then they've showed their true colours. So how could you not then go in
Exactly.
with that perspective that everyone's like that? But I think that's where we have to look at ourselves and go, do you know what? I'm not going to let this one person affect me.
Well, that's it.
You know,
and that's what a lot of friends have said to me. Like, don't let that ruin your experience in trying to find an amazing person.
But, you know, I think with all of this and these conversations, it is important. And, you know, you're doing fine, by the way. You're
Thank
absolutely
you.
smashing it.
So
and
you too.
It's very hard to have you on the pod and not speak about your achievements and, you know, what you have accomplished because, you know, we're very proud to call you our friend and to watch this journey so far and continue to watch you shine. But football has been a very big catalyst for that. It was sort of like the platform that brought you to maybe where you are today, or at least the start of that journey. How do you reflect on your time as a footballer? What are those memories?
You know, I was blessed, man. Like, I think I you know, I had a lot of opportunity to, you know, to play at the highest level. Obviously, you know, playing for Chelsea, playing for Juventus, playing for England, like, travelled the world, you know, represented England. And so, I mean, you can't ask for anything more than that. Made so many amazing friends, you know, built networks. So I look back on my football career very fondly. I don't miss it in the way that maybe people would expect. You know, I don't sit there going, oh, you know, I wish I was still playing. I think that's because I was able to move into another phase of my life that I was still part of football. You know, if you asked me when I was younger whether, you know, I'd earn good money from football, I'd you know, we'd play in front of thousands of people at Wembley and all of that, I'd be like, to be honest, I think what's amazing about women's football is most of us didn't get into it for all of that.
100%. 1000%.
If you said all of that to me when I was younger, I'd be like, oh, that's nice. But I would have kept playing.
Yeah,
Like, I didn't, you know, I just love football. So to see where it is now and to be part of it, you know, I'm so passionate about moving the game along and allowing women to be the best version of themselves and empowered and you know, boss bitches and boss babes. I'm like, yeah, like, you know, I like that.
It's mad to me that I sit here and at times I forget you were Eni the footballer. And that just shows me how well you've bloody transitioned.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we speak about it a lot. With being a footballer becomes that sense of identity, right? You're boxed in, you are Eni the footballer. And I think for a lot of sports people out there, sports women, you do get put in a box. In terms of knowing when you were ready to come out of the game, knowing when you were ready to retire, knowing when you were ready to transition into something new, did you have that moment? And was that transition difficult for you or seamless? How did it feel in the moment?
I'm probably a little bit different to most, where I felt like I wanted to like retire at the top of the mountain versus like, you know, when people are like, like roll them off the pitch, you know, like,
legs hanging off,
you lot are dragging it, you know, and I didn't want that. So by the time I went to Italy, when I went to Juventus, I knew it was like the final 2-3 years of my career. I kind of was already, I was never going to be there for 5 years, right?
Okay.
Then I got the offer to be sporting director at Villa, right at the time when I just started a sporting director UEFA course. So I was like, this is my exit.
But do you think that's fallen on your lap because you were open enough to put yourself out there to the universe, whatever's out there,
so.
you know? Like, I think that's how life works,
I think
right?
I mean, it sounds a bit woo-woo, but you have to kind of be ready to transition, let it go. Because I think a lot of footballers can't let it go.
They grab on, don't they?
And to your point, we're so defined by our sport that it's like, but who am I? If, you know, and I was actually excited. I was excited to explore, okay, what would it be like to, you know, work as a sporting director in my hometown.
But don't you think the pressure of football has allowed you to also shift in big roles like being a sporting director?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like those key life lessons and skills that we learn through the pressure of playing football. Have you felt that?
It's funny you ask that because whenever I do something now that scares me, I think, you've played in front of 90,000 people.
Like put it into
you've taken a penalty. Like,
100%.
you know, it puts it into perspective. And I think as athletes, because we've dealt with that level of pressure, actually it's like credit in the bank for you to then you know, do things that other people go, how is she doing that? You know, broadcasting, like, I get so nervous because as women, we can't really, you know, we just don't, we have a different standard that's applied to us. If we make mistakes, it comes with a different level of backlash. So it puts pressure on you to get it right. And we're humans, like we're gonna make mistakes. But when I get nervous when I'm broadcasting, I'm always like, Eni, come on now. Like, you've done big things. Like, it's fine. You know, and it just calms
levels
you
out.
You know, it levels you out. So I do think being a footballer helps with that.
And it's so funny, like, let's speak about that, actually, the nervousness stuff, because, you know, very similar experiences when it comes to, like, being in those transition moments where you're really out of your comfort zone, you know, especially from a broadcasting standpoint. So whether it's been football nerves, broadcasting nerves, whatever it's been, the situation, what have you done to get over that? Because I think a lot of people struggle with nerves. I definitely struggle with nerves.
Big time.
So what have you done to, like, ease yourself into those moments?
I go into every broadcasting situation as if people don't know who the hell I am. And so I've got to come with the facts and the stats and the analysis. I take it very seriously. So when I prepare, that gives me confidence. You know, that makes me feel like, that almost gets me excited to share my knowledge with the audience. And then when that light goes on and you're live, the main thing for me is getting the first thing right. So it's like being on the pitch. I used to say to myself, first touch, just get it right. Don't try and do too much. Just get the first touch right. And then it will set the tone for the rest of the game. It won't be perfect, but it eases you. And I very much go into broadcasting situations in the same way. And that's whether I'm on the biggest platform or the smallest platform. Like, I will always, like, prep, you know, and that's always helped me a lot versus going in and being like,
I've got this.
I'm
going to rely on
like,
it's funny you use that football analogy there, because even when I'm doing the broadcast stuff with Mo, and I suffer a lot more with nerves than Mo does, and I have to say to myself,
can't tell.
Really?
No.
Oh, thanks.
Genuinely,
Just shaking,
you
man.
can't
No, not you. I'm not.
I could tell your foot was moving.
No, but in terms of, I've had to tell myself in the past, and this for any, like, young girls listening who are wanting to get into broadcasting, it's like, it's the same with the pitch, right? Like, if you make a bad pass, it's all about your reaction to the next one.
100%.
Can we react well? Can we get straight back on the ball and make a good pass?
Yeah.
And that's what I always take into my broadcasting now, or when we're doing talks or presentations. It's like, right, if you mess up a word, it's fine. React well. That's what I would say.
And to that point, I think actually how you react to that mistake, a lot of people won't see it as a mistake. You know, I think someone said that to me a while ago, and I was like, that's really good advice. Where it's like, if you panic in that moment, it looks worse than if you're just like, you know. And it, you know, listen, it's hard because, again, I still think we're in a time in 2024 where if you're a woman and you make a mistake in men's football or what is seen as men's football space, they will jump on that. But it's almost about saying, it's rising above that and being able to say, well, everybody makes mistakes, and actually I'm fine. I'm confident in what I'm trying to say.
2014, you hit Match of the Day. At that time in your life, when you're in front of camera, are you feeling good about yourself? Are you confident? You're excited for it? Or is there nerves involved that you're the first woman to do so?
Oh, yeah, I was terrified.
You were terrified?
I was really worried at the time because I was like, you know, I'm the first. So, and the first person is always on the front line, is always going to get the most heat. Like, that's just the way it is. But again, I go back to it. I prepared. Like,
what were you doing before that show?
Like, I mean, I was playing at the time, but I remember, like, staying up late, like, for 5 days in a row to be like, okay, like, read everything on Wayne Rooney, like, read everything on Manu. Like, so obviously the producers send you your topics, and Match of the Day is obviously a show where you've got to talk about many different teams. I prepared like I was doing an exam.
Yeah.
This was 2014, so I'd already graduated from law school. And law school was hard. Like, so law school, to some extent prepares you with a lot of facts that you have to analyze and like then explain that analysis. So I think my legal training does help me as a broadcaster, but I prepared like to a point where it was like unnecessary.
Yeah.
So by the time I got on the show, I was so excited to like to just share like what I'd, you know, and so the other guys, like it was Mark Chapman was the host. It was John Motson, the late John Motson, who's obviously a legendary commentator.
Wow.
And it was Kevin Kilban, who's obviously a well-known male footballer. And I remember feeling, again, first answer, they were like...
What did you say? What was it about?
I think it was about, like, I think Wayne Rooney had been sent off. And it was like a tactical foul. So it was like a second yellow.
Right.
And like they were talking about whether he should have been sent off for a tactical foul. And I was like, I'd watched it probably 5 or 6 times. And I was like, what do I think about this? And I'd said something about like, I think tactical fouls are actually important.
Love it.
They were just like, raw, who's this? You know? And I remember feeling that in the moment and being like, you're going to be all right, Eni. Like, you'll be fine. Mm-hmm. But again, I feel like the humility to actually give the opportunity that much respect.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Allowed me to do what I did that day. It didn't change how terrified I was. Mm-hmm. And the response on social media, I mean, this is when social media was somewhat nice. This response was so positive. Mm-hmm. And obviously as broadcasters, when you get invited back, that is the feedback. Yeah. Like, they like you and they want you to be on their show. They're not going to put you on the show if they don't think you're good. Mm-hmm. And there's so much competition, they could pick anyone. So that's kind of how it started.
Wow.
And that honestly set the tone for how I prepared. I do less prep now, but I always prepare. Like that for me is it set the tone for how I manage broadcasting.
And that's been a pleasure to watch. And
Thank
you know,
you.
To see you do that has been incredible. But
And I think it's really important for us to also build our own platforms. Like the fact that this is a Powerhouse podcast and you've done such amazing things, plus also being on other platforms, I think is brilliant. Because if you are only on platforms that you're just going to constantly get abused, it will chip away at you. It's too much.
And like, I think we should really speak about like how it actually feels.
Yeah.
Because I don't think like anyone really realised, like, you know, we're just trying to be those people that we didn't have growing up. We're just trying to actually like create that representation and cover a sport that we love and we have played. And I think how it feels when you have just been on a show that's supposed to be, you know, the biggest thing of your career and, you know, you're so excited, and how it feels to then come off a show and go on your phone. I get so upset, actually. It's horrible. But
yeah, it is horrible.
It's horrible, Matt. You're right. Yeah, no, I'm good. But But like, how it actually feels to go on your phone after you've come off a show and just be like,
it's
like
it's
almost
awful.
like shocked. Like, what have I done so wrong? I've just literally taken this opportunity that I believe anyone would take if they got offered it, and you are just battered. And I think we have probably witnessed 5% of what you have gone through. So like, how has that felt for you? Because we've struggled with it like badly.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think sometimes we forget, like, we're talking about football. Like, we're not saving lives. Like, we're not changing the world. It's a game and it's entertainment. You know, I don't know if I've dealt with it perfectly. Like, sometimes I'll get in the comments and I'll start going back at people, because that's who I am to my core. Like, I'm a bit of a fighter. Do you know what I mean? And if I feel disrespected or I feel something's unfair, you see a different side to me. So there's times when I actually get in the comments and I go at people. I don't think that's always the right way to deal with it. You know, I think I've done, you know, I started therapy quite a while ago, actually, to deal with this, because I think if you see enough of it, you start to believe it. And so, and the first thing my therapist said to me was, why do you think those people are saying those horrible things about you? And I said, I don't know. And she said, well, they're miserable people. They're not happy with where they're at. So it's all this projection. They feel that you represent something that they don't agree with. And instead of just being like reasonable and saying, oh, I don't agree with that point she made about a player, it gets personal. But it's only getting personal because they're not happy with themselves. The minute she said that to me, I was like, oh, okay, so actually it's about people using social media to just vomit and project all of their insecurities and all of their fears and all of their jealousy and I think when I realized that, and when I saw all the comments from that lens, it made it easier for me.
I just think now we can sit here and almost reflect on those times and be in positions where we can do something about it. That's the bit for me that I feel relieved about now.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that we've been through that means that, you know, what you're doing with Powerhouse, you can actually explain and educate and help and prepare the next generation of broadcasters, which, you know, to understand what it's like, but also work with next generation of you know, content creators, broadcasters, but also speak to the broadcasters about, like, you know, what we think can help.
I think what I admire about you so much is your ability to pivot and rebrand yourself whenever you fancy doing it, to be fair. And I think we're now sitting here in this position with you not only having the kudos of being an amazing footballer, an amazing broadcaster, an author, lawyer, the list goes on, but now you're an incredible investor back into the sport that gave you so much, which I think you should be so proud of yourself. So can you please talk to us about Mercury 13 and what you're doing there?
Yeah, so Mercury 13 is an investment group that I joined last year, and for a long time I've been thinking about, like, how do I basically get involved at the highest level in a way that I can, you know, I can really affect it. It got to a point where I was like, I want to be there. Like, I want to be an owner that knows a lot about football so I can affect it in a different way. So then it was about, like, okay, how do I get there? And so the opportunity to, like, actually invest my own money in Mercury 13 came up, and I was like, right, I've got to put my money where my mouth is. I've been talking about and encouraging people to invest in the game, and I haven't done it myself. So I'm going to do it. I'm not going to say how much, but it was substantial. Like, it was pretty much like buying a house, like a deposit for a house.
How many bedrooms the house got?
Maybe about 3. 3-bedroom house in West London.
It's not a bad house.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
let me get on right move.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I felt like I needed to do something and make a substantial investment in relation to me, to say, okay, like, I properly back women's football.
Okay, so tell me the concept. So you're literally buying clubs and then recreating the women's team within that club.
Sorry, I should have explained.
That's right.
So basically, it's an investment group that want to buy multiple clubs, specifically in Europe and South America, and own sort of majority shares in those women's teams. So we now own majority shares in Como Women, and it's about sort of transforming those clubs, elevating those clubs. So Club 1 is done now. It's on to Club 2. So watch this space for that. I'm obviously very excited for the opportunity to potentially buy a club in England, and own equity in an English club. Like, this is where I've played. This is where I've grown up playing. So,
and I think it feels really refreshing to, like, sit here. You know, we sit here as owners of the Powerhouse project. You know what I mean? And you're sitting there in your position at Mercury 13, and we really are trying to shape the future of women's sport, right? And not just football, but actually the future of women's sport. And that feels really amazing to be in these positions. How are you, like, seeing the future of Eni Aluko? Because it feels like there's, like, an evolution that's happening now. You've gone from, like, being maybe in that football box, even from a broadcasting point of view. Now we're stepping into business world. And same as us, with founding the business, we have had to stretch ourselves. We are learning every day how to manage staff, run businesses, the finances, the budget sheets. All of this stuff is very new, but we're educating ourselves. So what's the future and what's the evolution for you? Like, what's next?
I think that's it. I think for me, it's 2 things. It's the business of women's football, which I've been part of now for about 5 years, working as a sporting director and now as an investor and advisor. And then the other part is like ownership. Like I'm really big on like owning your own business, owning your own platforms, owning your own content. And then collaborating from a place that it's kind of you can bring your own value. It doesn't mean you don't work with other people. It just means the terms are different. I don't know how to explain it. It's a different.
Yeah.
You go from talent to owner, talent to producer, talent to, founder. It's a shift, I think, from just being the talent with a little bit less control. I was having a conversation recently with an athlete, and she was saying she's kind of towards the end of her career, big profile, and she was offered recently a new, a deal with a brand. I won't mention what brand. And she was like, do you know what? Actually, I'm going to speak to them about equity. Like, and whether rather than paying me a one-off fee, I can have a bit of equity. Because that's what LeBron James is doing. That's what all these other athletes are doing. And I was like, I rate that.
Yeah.
I rate that. Now, she might not get it, but
it's a different way.
It's a different, like, she's saying, this is the level of value I think I bring to your brand. So rather than get the one-off check that's safe, I back myself a little bit more than that.
And watch this space, isn't it? That's what we're at now.
And enjoy life, yeah.
All right, and final question. What does being a powerhouse mean to you?
I think being a powerhouse is about impact. How much impact are you having on other people? Impact and influence, and creating opportunities for other people and helping other people and creating that impact.
All right, En, that was an amazing chat, by the way.
I loved it.
Thank you, honestly. Girls, this has been amazing.
Great questions.
No, Seriously. I've loved it.
It was like, this is your life.
Literally, but it's felt like therapy. We've got everything out in the open.
Yeah,
I hope you feel amazing as well, because honestly, that was incredible. I feel so inspired.